And welcome to FLT Sports. Sports are back. COVID could not stop the sports. And I'm so pumped up because this is my escape route. You know, without sports, I'll just be a political activist and you won't like me. But so the playoffs are underway in NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs. And the same contenders that we've seen in the last couple of years are still hot right now. Golden Knights of Vegas, 2-0 in their first round. So are the Washington Capitals. I wouldn't mind a rematch there. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that was awesome to see the Vegas Knights. First year as an expansion team, make it all the way to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I wanted them to win. Yeah. I adopted them as my hockey team because I'm a Raiders fan, and they're moving to Vegas. Well, they're in Vegas now, but at the time they were moving to Vegas.
Yeah,
and
what a rare thing to see that.
But I like that Ovechkin finally got a Stanley Cup win.
Yeah,
because he is a legend.
One of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely. So he finally got his win, so that softened the blow a little bit. But I would love to see a rematch, especially now that the Vegas Knights have had 3 years to build up their team.
I'm hoping that Jack Eichel can be another Ovechkin, an all-around, tough, gritty player who can do everything.
I like Eichel, and I like that he wants to stay in Buffalo.
Yeah.
All the media wants to say, he wants to leave,
He's the real deal.
No, he's the real deal. He likes Buffalo, and he wants to stay here, even though the media keeps trying to pretend like he wants to leave.
It just sucks. When are we going to get there?
I know.
But I don't know. Maybe
I've been
next
waiting
year.
Forever.
So we'll see. We're paying attention to some more of that going forward. Basketball, they just ended the play-in round, and the playoffs have just started, and we're seeing this, just like everybody predicted, Milwaukee and the Lakers probably going to be in the championship.
But the Brooklyn Nets are healthy now. Yeah. They're getting healthy. And if COVID helped any team, it was the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
They might not get Durant back this year, but their whole team was banged up, and they're they got a shot. Yeah,
I played fantasy basketball this year, and the Nets have the most stacked roster maybe in the NBA, maybe not as stacked as Celtics or Lakers or Milwaukee, but they got Durant, they got Kyrie. They're stacked, okay? Now, Kyrie or Durant, I thought COVID was gonna let him back in, and they snuck into that number 7 seed, and then all of a sudden you got that roster going in the playoffs, but it didn't work out that way. They're just gonna roll out the team that they got, and Kevin Durant.
See what happens.
Kevin Durant's still banged up. He got COVID, and it's just not going to. But you never know. They still have a shot. Once they're in the playoffs,
like I said, they might not get Durant back, but they're way healthier than they were. They were the most banged up team by far, and COVID has helped them.
But other than that, I want to see Giannis get his ring, and I want to see the Bucks beat LeBron in the championship. That's what I want to see.
I loved growing up. I was a Lakers fan because of Kobe. Kobe's my favorite player of all time. I loved Kobe growing up, so I was a Lakers fan. I don't have an allegiance to any team. I like players in basketball, and so I was always a Lakers fan. Now I'm not. I'm not a big LeBron fan. I think he's a whiner and a flopper, and so
I love Giannis though. Giannis is the opposite of LeBron. Yeah. Giannis is a humble player.
I would love to see them win. Yeah, I would love to see anybody but the Lakers win, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm either going with the Celtics or the Bucks. Those are my two teams.
You like the Celtics growing up, right?
I always loved the Celtics.
I thought so. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and the Knicks.
Yeah,
I'm like the Knicks are like the Bills for me. Like you know it's not going to happen.
Yep, I go with players.
But it's my New York team, and I
always liked Kobe, and then I'm a Durant fan. So I used to like back when he was with the Oklahoma Thunder. Yeah, I liked them back then. Because of him. Then I liked when he went to the Golden State Warriors. I really liked them because at the time my Raiders were in Oakland. Yeah. They were they're in Oakland,
super stacked.
And so they had Steph Curry. They were so underrated.
But you just reminded me though, if you look back at that team, that Oklahoma City team, when they had Durant
and Westbrook,
they had Westbrook. They also had James Harden, and they had Serge Ibaka and Nick Coliseum. Now all those players now, if you put them back together, they wouldn't lose a game.
It would be an all-star team. What's crazy is that Harden was their 6th man. He wasn't a starter.
Right.
And so
he was young.
He was still young. And when he left, I was like, that's a big mistake because he's going to be a star. And
he won 6th man of the year.
They would have had 3 stars. They would have had Westbrook, they would have had Durant, and they would have had Harden, and they would have definitely won a championship without a doubt.
Yeah, but that's where he came up though.
Oh, because he won 6th man.
He became the household name of who he is.
And
today.
Once he left, he became
MVP. All three of them have won MVPs.
I know.
So that's crazy.
Imagine if they were
3 MVPs on the same team.
It's kind of a shame they didn't stay together at least for one or two title runs.
That's what happens in basketball, though. You see that a lot.
Yeah.
You see players grow into a different player as they get older.
Well, and in NBA, you see them dictate where they want to go more. They have more control, and they can kind of like get with a couple other stars and decide to go to other teams. Where you don't see that in a sport like football.
Basketball is such a team sport.
Yeah,
you can't win a championship by yourself. LeBron,
no,
say what you say about LeBron. Always has a team. Jordan always had a team too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any team that wins a championship, no one ever does it by themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, you only see teams winning with at least a big three, maybe a big two, maybe Shaq and Kobe, but they always had those,
you
foxes.
Still had, exactly.
But the only time it ever happened where it was a one-man team was Will Chamberlain.
Yeah.
And that just won't happen again. The NBA is different now.
All sports are team games, but especially basketball now, these guys assemble and they get 2 or 3 stars and get on a team. So you're going to have to contend with like 3-star teams. So you're going to have to as well have a squad. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
So we'll get into some more basketball as that heats up. MLB, man, I don't know why I like the short season, because the short season, it's like NFL.
It amplifies.
NFL, you just have 17 weeks, and what's going to happen? Who's going to make it? And the MLB I love baseball. You can only love baseball if you have a team.
The seasons are too long, though.
Yeah, they're very long.
Yeah,
and I get why people don't enjoy that. I just love the Yankees. I just love watching the Yankees, paying attention to the Yankees.
Yeah.
But this season in particular, Yankees 12-6, and Dodgers 14-7 or something like that. 14.
Yeah, they're 14-7. Yep.
And those are the two teams that I think are going to make it to the championship. And now the reason why that's such a big deal is because they've played each other in 11 World Series, but it even goes deeper than that. Before the Dodgers moved to LA, there were the Brooklyn Dodgers, and it was the Bronx and Brooklyn city.
So they were cross-state rivals.
So now they're cross. Yeah, well, they're cross-city rivals. Yeah. Now they're cross-country rivals.
Yeah.
But you don't see them play as much because it's two different leagues.
Yeah, East versus West.
So
now.
to get that back again would be huge for baseball.
That would probably be the most ideal.
Yeah.
World Series.
So
I agree.
I would love to see that.
Like you were saying before, I like the shortened season as well because it makes each game more important. In a full baseball season, one game means absolutely nothing.
It almost
because there's way too many
like,
games.
Whatever.
Exactly.
We'll get them next time.
But with a shortened season, those games are so much more important. Just like you said, like football, there's 17 weeks, 16 games,
and
makes it super important.
Another thing about baseball, the first half of the league. So you can have a team like, let's say the Yankees, for example, they by the All-Star break. They're in first place. They're 10 games ahead of everybody. They look like they're going to win the championship. And then all of a sudden, the entire second half of the season, they tank and they start losing. And then they don't even make the playoffs. That happens in baseball. Some people like that. The length of it changes. Things change over time. Some people enjoy that style. I like every game matters. Every play matters.
Absolutely.
That's what I like.
Yep. I
agree. I'm kind of excited that it's a short season for the wrong reason, but it is what it is. So let's see what happens.
I mean, everyone had to deal with COVID. It's a shortened season because of it.
Yeah.
And it's actually going to make the games more important, a little more exciting. So, you got to do with what's going on. You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So each sport's had to cope.
Yeah. So we're going to get into football now. And I don't know if you want to get into Bills or do you want to get into the league first?
We could touch on the league as a whole real quick. Then we'll get into the Bills, and then maybe touch on some fantasy football. Drafts are coming up at the end of this month, beginning of September.
Yeah, so the biggest thing, we'll get into fantasy next week, but I want to just, since football hasn't even basically started yet, there's been some changes. And one of the biggest changes is the playoff schedule, or the playoff setup.
The format.
Yep.
Yeah, you have a third wild card team now. Each conference used to have 2 wild cards, NFC, AFC. Now you have 3 in each conference. Wow. Well, now you're gonna have an extra team. You're gonna only have only first seed in each division or conference only gets a bye now. You used to have the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the AFC got the bye. The 1 seed and the 2 seed in the NFC got the bye. Now, because there's an extra team, only the 1 seed's going to get the bye. So it makes that 1 seed that much more important. And now other teams are going to be able to sneak in. And if they get hot at the right time, absolutely, get hot at the right time, sneak in as that third wild card.
We've already seen, for example, the Seattle Seahawks were 7-9 and they won 2 playoff games. We've already seen those type of situations. 9-7, usually more often 9-7 teams. Sometimes 8-8 teams slide in there. But now that you have an extra team in, we're going to see more of that.
Yeah.
You're going to see a team get hot at the end of the year, barely making the playoffs, but they're hot now.
Yep.
So that's a problem.
It's
in
better.
football, it's any given Sunday.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter. As long as you make the playoffs, you have a shot.
Absolutely.
The level of talent in the NFL compared to like at the MLB is there's so high talent right now in the NFL.
The difference between the best team and the worst team
the
is
backups
minimal.
are coming out and they're filling in for starters and doing work.
Absolutely.
Like you're seeing there's so much talent in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's why when you get hot in December and squeeze into the playoffs,
you're dangerous. You're the team nobody wants to play. Yeah. So I agree definitely, and it's that's why I love football, because the talent disparity is so minimal. And each game is so important. And so, like you said, getting hot at the right time, you're better off doing that than being the 1 seed. If you started out real hot and you were 12-0, and then you start falling off the last month, most likely you're not going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so you're better to get hot at the right time. And now there's going to be teams that it's going to vary. You're going to see probably 8-8 sneak in now with that third wild card. Yeah. Maybe once in a while 7-9. Yeah. You're not going to see any worse than that, though.
No.
Especially
that'll be. I'll just like that. It was so rare. It only happened once.
Yeah, it only happened a couple times.
Now you might see it a little more.
Yeah,
just still not a lot.
I think it's going to be mostly 8-8. Take that third wild card.
I think once every 2 years, a 8-8 or 7-9 team will make it in.
Yeah,
once every 2 years.
It's not going to be that much different than like record wise. Because a lot of times you would have a tiebreaker where 8-8 would make it and one wouldn't.
Yeah,
exactly. Now both of them would make it.
Or sometimes a 10-6 won't make it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was going to say, because if you look at last year, okay, so last year we have an 8-8 didn't make it, a 9-7 didn't make it.
The NFC was stacked last year.
The playoffs, the only time the Patriots didn't make the playoffs,
they were 11-5.
Since they had Tom Brady. Were they 11-5?
Yeah.
So
it was the year that Matt Castle played because Tom Brady tore his ACL.
And I want to talk about that. So now that they separated Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, now we're finally going to see the greatness of Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. No, so here's the thing.
They got Cam Newton.
They were a great duo together, but everybody would argue, well, no, Tom Brady made Belichick great. No. Well, no, Belichick made Tom Brady great. Well, now they're both going to have a chance to prove who made who great. Are they both great? Maybe. Yeah. Did one lift the other one up? Most likely.
I think we're going to see Bill Belichick was the man.
I think so.
Tom Brady, not taking anything. Tom Brady, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Okay? But he was also a team with the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
That made them great.
Belichick is a mastermind. He's, in my opinion, the greatest coach.
If you took Peyton Manning and gave him Bill Belichick for his career, he would have won more Super Bowls than Tom Brady, I think, in my opinion. Peyton Manning had better talent, better
Peyton Manning was a choke artist in the playoffs, though. So
he won 3 Super Bowls.
No, he won 2 Super Bowls. And the 2 Super Bowls he won, if you look at his stats, he was awful.
Okay, but if he was a choke artist,
his defenses were awesome.
Okay, but if he was a choke artist in the Super Bowl, okay, mate, you're right. He should have won more, but he also beat Tom Brady in the playoffs more than Tom Brady beat him in the playoffs. Brady won 2, Manning won 3. You're right, it is close. Yeah. But still, if he was such a choke artist, why is he beating Brady more than Brady beat him?
But that's not really all telling, though, because there's years where Manning loses and they never even face the Patriots. The Patriots have a bye, Manning loses, and they don't even meet each other.
That's why I'm saying.
So that's not the be-all, tell-all.
But that's why I'm saying if Manning had that great coach with the great defense,
no, it would have definitely propped him up.
I honestly think they could have won 10 Super Bowls.
I disagree. Because in the playoffs, the Manning brothers are actually kind of a conundrum. It's kind of funny. Eli would be the one that would struggle a lot of times in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he was incredible. Yeah. Then you have, on the other hand, you have Peyton Manning, and like I said, I think Peyton Manning's probably the greatest of all time regular season quarterback.
Passes right now.
Exactly. Regular season, Peyton was the best quarterback of all time, but then in the playoffs would choke a lot. So the Manning brothers are complete polar opposites.
You know who has the most? Hilarious. You know who has the most 2-minute comebacks of all time? Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
He's people call Tom Brady the comeback kid and all that. Peyton Manning has the most 2-minute comebacks.
Well, those are mostly regular seasons.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
It's so funny with the Manning brothers. One is struggles in the regular season, Eli, and is amazing when he makes it to the playoffs, and then Peyton's the exact opposite.
And then can't forget about Drew Brees, though. Drew Brees is up there.
Oh, yeah.
He's sharing the stats with Brady and Manning.
Here's the thing. I am a diehard NFL fan. I watch every game. I love, watching NFL. It doesn't matter if it's not my team playing. Like I said, I'm all around. So I respect players on every single team. Breeze is one of my favorite players. He's a great, and I hope he gets another Super Bowl before he retires, because they've gotten screwed a couple times the last couple of years. They've really taken a beating. Obviously, 2 years ago with the blatant pass interference, no call, and then last year they changed the rule because of that game, and then you go to overtime with the Vikings, and the touchdown winning in overtime for the Vikings, the guy pushes off and they don't overturn it. They got screwed both times, 2 years in a row. One with a no call, and then one where they should have reviewed it because they fixed the rule and they should have overturned it and didn't.
Yeah.
So, and then the year before, 3 years ago, the Minneapolis Miracle. I mean, that was a blunder on their part, but it's still, they've been great the last 3 years, and for one reason or another, didn't make it.
Yeah, no. And speaking of playoffs, since this is our first sports episode, let's do a playoff prediction. Even though we don't have a lot to go off, we don't have preseason, we don't know really what's going to happen. I just want to do this now so we can look back.
So we can look back and people can say, okay, this is what you thought, you were wrong.
Yeah, we're going to be wrong.
Okay.
But
so
let's
you
start
got
with the
7
NFC.
teams now in each conference.
We'll start with the NFC.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do, first I'm going to tell you all the teams that made the playoffs last year, and then who was the wild card, who won the division, and then we'll say who we think's not going to make it back and who's going to replace that team.
Okay.
So the NFC East was just the Eagles by themselves. They won a division. Cowboys were out. Cowboys were 8-8. They didn't make it. The NFC West, 49ers were 13-3. They were the hot team of the year. And right behind them was the Seahawks, 11-5. But the Rams were 9-7, and they didn't make it. So they still a pretty stacked team. Rams are stacked. So that could be one team. I don't know. The NFC North, Packers were 13-3. Still a good team. Still got Aaron Rodgers. Vikings 10-6, right behind them.
They made it as a wild card.
Made it in the wild card. The Bears were 8-8 and didn't make it.
You got the South, NFC South.
So the NFC South, we got the Saints 13-3. Might be a repeat for them.
Nobody else.
Falcons were 7-9.
Yeah. So nobody else made it there.
Really bad division. But that's also a really stacked division. But I don't know about the maybe not the Panthers, but
they beat up on each other a lot in the NFC South.
Yeah.
So make your predictions. I'll make mine.
So I actually think the Cowboys are going to be good this year.
I think the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East.
Yeah.
I absolutely. If you think they're going to be good or they're going to win the division, I actually think they're going to take the division.
Yeah, and I
really do.
And maybe the Eagles might make a wild card.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to hold on that one for a second. 49ers are definitely going back. Who's a wild card in the NFC West? Do you think the 49ers are definitely going to win the division again?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying they're not going to win, but I don't think it's going to be easy because I honestly think
the Seahawks are stacked.
The Seahawks are stacked, and then the Cardinals are going to be really good. They have DeAndre Hopkins now.
So let's admit that there's going to be a wild card team coming out of that division.
There might be 2 wild cards team coming out of that team. So we'll see when we make our predictions. Though. But I honestly think the Rams are going to be the worst team in that division.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. Right. That's what I think personally.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to give the Seahawks that division this year with the 49ers right behind them in the wild card. And then I'm going to say the other wild card.
Well, you want to do division winners, then the wild cards.
Okay,
how do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do that. You want to agree Seahawks? Or you could go against me. I'm going to say the Seahawks are going to win.
I'm going to skip them and come back to the NFC West.
Okay. So let's go back real quick. NFC East. I got the Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys as well.
So we're going to both
we agree there.
Agree on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. NFC West, I decided Seahawks. You're going to wait.
I'm going to wait, yeah.
NFC North, I really don't see the Packers not winning that division again.
I think the Packers are going to win the division.
Me too.
Oh, you do too. So I thought you said the opposite. No, I think Aaron Rodgers, because they drafted another quarterback, he is going to be a man on fire. Yeah. He's going to be so motivated to prove them wrong. You should have never drafted Jordan Love, and he's gonna play great.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Devontae Adams was banged up last year. He's going to be healthy. So I think that the Packers definitely win the North. And then the South, I think the Saints are definitely winning the South again.
Yes.
So,
that's the easy one for me. I don't even see the Falcons coming as a wild card.
Yeah, I think depending on how Tom Brady does.
I think the Falcons are starting to fall off.
Yeah, I do too. If anything, if another team makes, I'm not going to make my prediction yet, but if any team makes a wild card out of the South, it'll probably be the Bucs if Tom Brady works out.
Right.
So I'll go back now because I got to make a prediction with the West before we go to the wild cards. So
I got the Eagles and the 49ers as my 2 wild card team. Oh, no, it's 3.
You got to get a third. Yep.
I'll just say Vikings. Vikings. So I got Vikings, Eagles, and 49ers are the wild card teams, and Cowboys, Seahawks, Packers, and Saints are the division teams. That's my NFC pick.
Okay. Did you pick them? You picked them all. Yeah.
Picked them all.
Okay. So I just need to pick the West, and then I need to pick the wild cards. So I think the West is going to be really, really strong again this year, and I think it's going to be. It's so tough because the Seahawks have the better quarterback in Russell Wilson, but the San Fran's defense is really good, and I'm going to pick the Seahawks to win the West. I think you picked them too. I'm going to pick them as well.
Yeah, I picked them with the 49ers and the wild card.
But I'm going to pick for my 3 wild cards. I'm going to pick the 49ers. They're going to be 1.
That's an easy pick, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be fighting. The 49ers and the Seahawks are going to be fighting for the division. Whoever doesn't win the division is going to get a wild card. And then I got to pick 2 more.
They were 7-1 on the road.
Yeah.
49ers.
Yeah,
on the road.
I'm going to pick the Vikings as my second wild card. And then for my third wild card, it's close. Scroll down. It's either, in my opinion, it's either. South, right? I don't know if the Bucs are going to be good with Brady.
The Bucs could be good with Brady. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot to
for me personally, it's going to come down.
Oh, wait a minute. They got Gronkowski, too.
They got Gronk, too.
So I might have to change that. I might have to change that.
It's tough. I'm personally in
Todd Austin, if you're watching right now, you're probably mad at me for forgetting about that.
My
friend of mine really loves that team.
My head spinning right now. I'm divided on the last wild card. I'm deciding between the Bucs and the Cardinals. Most likely, I'm going to go with the Bucs because the NFC West is so tough. The Cardinals could certainly make it as another wild card as well.
I just want to make a change real quick.
The NFC South is going to be an easier division for the Bucs, so the Bucs will probably make it. I don't think they're going to be like really good. I think they might be like a 9-win team, maybe 10 at best.
I want to trade the Eagles. I'm going to say the Eagles are not going to make the wild card.
Yeah.
The Bucs will.
Yeah, I didn't pick the Eagles. I personally think it's going to be the Cowboys win the division and nobody else makes it out of that division. Yeah. So that was a terrible division last year. I mean, you had the Eagles win at 9-7, Cowboys miss it at 8-8.
Yeah.
I don't think any of those teams.
But the Cowboys started off hot.
Yeah, and the Cowboys I think are going to be very good.
If they can hold on to it, they'll make it.
I think the Cowboys, Jason Garrett.
I
think Jason Garrett held them back last year.
Yeah.
So now he's gone.
Yeah.
They got Mike McCarthy, way better coach.
Yeah.
And I think the Cowboys are going to be good. I think they're going to win the division.
Cowboys Bills year.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to win the division. The Eagles are going to miss it.
Cowboys Bills 3.
I think Washington and the Giants are still rebuilding. So,
is that you picked them all then?
I picked them all. Okay. Yeah.
So let's go to AFC, baby.
Let's go to the AFC.
Let's start right off the bat. AFC East. I think the Bills and the Patriots are both going to the playoffs. I'm going to go out and I'm going to say it right now. The Bills are going to win the AFC East, and the Patriots are going to win the wild card.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that the Bills are a very, very strong team.
We're agreeing on a lot.
And
me and Joe used to disagree on everything.
We're not going to agree on everything, but so far, I've been waiting for the Bills to take the AFC East, and I said it was most likely going to be when Brady retired. He didn't retire, but he left, and he left the conference, so that opens it up. I think Bill Belichick's a great coach, so I think, and they had the number 1 defense last year in New England, so I think that they're still going to be the wild card, and they could win the division, but I personally believe Bills win the AFC East, and New England gets the wild card.
The Jets have an upside now. They're young, they're talented. They won the last 2 games of their season last year, and they kind of surprised everybody. They started off terrible, and they kind of picked it up at the end of the year. So that might be a third wild card out of the AFC East. Is the AFC East that stacked? I think so. I think we're the best division in the league right now.
I don't think the Jets or the Dolphins make the playoffs. I mean, so you can pick the Jets.
I'm not saying that. I'm just throwing it out there. But right now, I just got the Bills and Patriots.
Yeah.
Let's go to the AFC West.
Okay.
Raiders.
I'll take the lead in that division. That's my division.
So you're gonna
I'm a diehard Raiders fan. So
I think they're going to joke.
I like
the Raiders, though. I do. I just think they're going to be the regular Raiders.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm a diehard Raiders fan. I'm a diehard NFL fan. The Bills are my second favorite team, so I root for the Bills unless they're playing the Raiders. So the Raiders are definitely my diehard team.
The Chiefs are too good.
I root for the Bills on a week-by-week basis. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win the division.
Okay.
And I'm going to take the Bills.
At least you're sane.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders as a wild card. The Raiders were 6-4 last year with the hardest schedule in the league, with the most travel miles. They went 49 days without a home game.
Yeah.
And through that stretch, they ended up 6-4.
That's good.
And in my opinion, I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs last year. And I thought that was gonna be another rebuilding year, and then this year they would make the playoffs. But at 6-4, I was like, wow, this is their toughest stretch. They made it out of that stretch 6-4. They actually got a shot, and then they had so many injuries. I know a lot of people don't follow the Raiders; they're not Raiders fans.
You're right, they were banged
but
up.
they
You're
were
right.
decimated.
Yeah.
They lost Antonio Brown before the season even started, a week before. Bad. So the whole offense was built around him, and then they lost him. So then Tyrell Williams had to bump up and be the number one receiver, and he actually was great the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Then he hurt his foot and struggled with plantar fasciitis the rest of the year and wasn't the same. So they were picking up guys off the street, trading for low-level receivers. I mean, it was a mishmash of receivers, and then Josh Jacobs got banged up. Was amazing rookie running back. He's going to be a beast this year. So they just were decimated by injury. They were bringing in guys off the street and starting them. Yeah. So this year they're going to be healthy. They made tons of great moves in free agency and in the draft. So I think that Chiefs. I don't want to see the Chiefs going to win the division, but I do think they will. And then you're going to have the Raiders take a wild card.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. I just think it's just going to be the Chiefs dominating that division.
That's fine, yeah.
And
you don't think the Broncos or the Chargers do it?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you think it's just going to be them.
Chargers are an interesting team. I don't know how they ended up 5-11 last year. They are stacked.
They're the biggest choke artist team of all time.
If you look at their roster, though, I want to pull it up right now, but I don't feel like doing it.
But
I'll do that next time. They're stacked.
But you got to remember now, they're going to have to either going to be Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert, a rookie.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to struggle.
Tyrod might come out though.
Maybe.
Tyrod's a good quarterback.
No, he's a safe quarterback. He's an average quarterback. He's not anything great, but he's not going to hurt you either.
But that brings me to our next team though, the Ravens. The Ravens are coming out strong.
The Ravens are stacked.
They are stacked.
I
had the best quarterback in the NFL.
I personally think that
fantasy-wise, he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
I think that the Ravens are going to be the 1 or 2 seed in the AFC.
The Ravens won 12 straight at the end of the season. They were going to enter the playoffs on a 12-game win streak.
They're stacked, and I think that it's going to for the 1 seed that they're going to be they're going to be fighting with the Chiefs for the 1 seed in the AFC.
I also think the Steelers will make the
I think the Steelers will take a wild card.
They can't go 2 years without making the playoffs. Yep. It's not like the Steelers are a playoff team. They're always in the playoffs. Then we got the AFC South. So, okay, let's run this down real quick. I picked Bills and Patriots, Chiefs, Ravens, and Steelers. So I have 1 wild card left.
You got the division and a wild card.
And I'm going to have to go. I got the Texans. No. I'm going to switch that around. I think the Titans are going to win the division in the AFC South.
I agree.
I think this is their year.
Yep.
They've been climbing up, and this is it. They're going to take it, and I do think the Texans will be a wild card, the 3rd wild card team.
Yep. So I vary with you there. I got the Bills winning the AFC East. I got the New England taking a wild card, so that's 2 teams. In the West, I have the Chiefs winning the division and the Raiders, so that's 4 playoff teams. And the North, I have the Ravens winning the division and the Steelers, that's 6. And in the South, I have just the Titans making the playoffs. They're going to win the division. Nobody else is going to make it. I think that the Texans made a big mistake in trading DeAndre Hopkins. I love Deshaun Watson, but I just personally think that without DeAndre Hopkins, I think they're going to struggle. And they don't have a strong running back either unless David Johnson somehow is reborn.
Yeah.
But he struggled with injuries and ineffectiveness, so we'll see what happens. But I just personally think that you're going to have some stronger wildcard teams. So I don't think a wildcard makes it out of the AFC South.
Yeah, okay. The Titans now, since we both think the Titans are going to...
I like the Titans.
What's up with their quarterback situation? Now, their defense is stacked. That defense is going to get them in the playoffs, for sure. They're just getting better every year.
I'm actually I think Ryan Tannehill has always been underrated, and I think that people hated on him for things that were out of his control. I think
we're starting to see now that it wasn't him who was the problem.
No,
it was the Dolphins.
In Miami, it was the coaching. It was a couple unfortunate injuries, and then they lost patience with him. Things that were out of his control. He didn't have weapons around him. He got hurt a couple times, and they just kind of discarded him and traded him for practically nothing. And I even said, I'm like, that's a great trade. I wanted the Raiders to trade for Tannehill and have him push Carr and have a good backup
last year.
And have a good backup.
Now look at when his first game with the Titans, when he came out and had a great game and they won, I thought it was a fluke.
Yeah,
I just said he's not going to keep doing it. And then he did it again, and I was like, okay, 2 good weeks, they're gonna catch on to him. He's gonna start playing like. Then he just kept winning, kept playing good, kept putting out good stats, kept putting out good completion numbers. So I think he proved himself last year.
I had Tannehill in both my fantasy leagues, and I like I said before, I've always thought he was underrated. I always thought that the Miami kind of should discard him.
Last year.
So he proved himself. I had him in both fantasy leagues, and I used him in a lot of weeks, and I ended up winning the championship in both leagues. So it's he helped me. He was one of those guys off the waiver who really paid off. So
you make all your picks?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, you did too. So, I think the only way.
So I'll show the rundown on our teams that we picked.
Yeah, we'll show those. Yeah. So the only way we really disagreed is
I think
you picked the. We both picked
Raiders.
The Titans.
We disagreed on.
We
Raiders.
disagreed on.
Yeah.
I picked the Raiders as a wild card. You picked the Texans.
Yeah.
And then other than that, we're pretty much in agreement.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Deshaun Watson's still there, man.
I know.
You can't count
I
him
just said I love Deshaun Watson, but I think they made a big mistake in trading Hopkins.
Yeah, that could be true.
And Clowney's been gone for 2 years now. J.J. Watt's older.
Yeah.
They've lost a lot of pieces, and I personally think the biggest mistake they made was making Bill O'Brien the coach and the GM. Since he's a good coach, but ever since he's been the GM,
from the Patriots branch,
but ever since he became the GM, he's really messed up. I mean, it's crazy. He gave up so much for Laramie Tunzel. He got rid of Hopkins for peanuts. I couldn't believe it. I mean, Hopkins is arguably the best receivers in the league are Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Davante Adams. I don't care what order you put them in.
No, I get.
You could argue that Hopkins is the best receiver in the league, and he traded him for a second-round pick and David Johnson, who had a bloated contract.
Cap space. This is why they think that his peak is hit. They think he's on his downside now. I'm just saying. I'm not saying they're right.
No,
I'm
but
saying,
since
if you had to think of why they would do that,
no, I understand.
Because
I understand what they think.
Drop him while he's hot.
But here's the thing.
While he's on his downturn.
So you think he's
get something for him?
Okay. So you think that it's a salary cap thing? But,
yeah.
But why does that mean that in negotiations you get slaughtered and you trade him for less than you should have got?
Because they're going to get so if let's say
it doesn't make sense. You get as much as you can.
Let's
for
say
him.
he does start to downturn in talent, like he starts to go downward in talent, then you can't get anything for him.
But no. I'm saying if you want to trade him because you think he's gonna, he's hit his peak, and you think that you don't want to pay him a new contract. I understand that, but he's hot right now. So why would you trade him for peanuts?
Yeah, because
it's because O'Brien's not a real GM. That's why.
Could be.
He overpaid for Tunzel. He got ripped off. Every deal he's made, he's gotten screwed. Yeah. Laramie Tunzel, he gave up way too much. And then you have, and then the opposite end, he trades DeAndre Hopkins and doesn't maximize value. Let's look at what the Bills gave up for Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is a great receiver. I like him. But the Bills gave up way more for Diggs than Hopkins, who's a better receiver.
I think we could have got Hopkins for what we paid for
if
Diggs.
I was, if I was a GM, I would offer that same exact package of picks to Houston for Hopkins.
Yeah,
why would you not? If you're going to give up those picks, why not get arguably the best receiver in the league?
I think Diggs will. That brings us to our next topic, the Bills.
Yeah, we're going to jump to the Bills now.
So you're right. We didn't get Hopkins, but we got Diggs though, and we needed another receiver to help out John Brown and Cole Beasley.
Yeah,
and I think Diggs might be a perfect role.
I really like Diggs, but you know what actually hurt the perception of the Diggs trade was the Hopkins trade. Because when you compare the two, you're like, wow, they gave up more for a lesser receiver. Why didn't they get the better receiver?
The Bills' offense is starting to shape into an identity. So you got Josh Allen, obviously. The team's built around him. And Devin Singletary came out last year. I was highly on him. I made a video about him. He did great. And I think he's going to be the starting, the all-around back for the Bills going forward. And finally, Dawson Knox is jumping into that number one tight end role where I thought he should have been. He's only what? How old is this kid?
He's young.
Like 21 maybe?
I mean, so far he's played great. He just hasn't had a lot of opportunity. And I like to, as an analogy, I kind of liken him to Darren Waller with the Raiders.
Yeah, he's 23 years old.
Darren Waller, had problems with drugs, was out of the league for a bit, came back, super talented guy, got his life on straight. The Raiders let Jared Cook go in free agency, which everyone thought was a big mistake.
Yeah.
But they needed to be able to give Darren Waller a shot and make him the starter because they thought they knew he had talent, but they needed to give him a shot. And that's what happened. And last year he blew up Darren Waller out of nowhere because he had that shot. And now Dawson Knox has that opportunity. Yes. He's going to be the starter, and he's either going to show out.
The ball last season, he
played great.
A big play.
Yeah, so I really think he can succeed, and he's going to have a shot. If not, then they're going to have to either draft or trade for a receiver. Tight end.
I'm interested to see. Well, then you got Tyler Kroft too. So between the two, you never know. Lee Smith's a good blocker.
Tyler Kroft was a backup in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's a role player.
He's an athletic. He's an athletic tight end.
He's a role player.
Lee Smith's a good blocker.
Lee Smith's a great blocker.
But then you got Duke Williams as the number 4, who can come out and make plays as a switch in. He's big, almost tight end body. Receiver.
He's the body type of receiver that the Bills don't have anything.
Yeah, he's great depth.
Cole Beasley and John Brown are small.
Yeah,
Diggs isn't small, but he's not a big receiver either.
He's 6'2". He's right in the middle.
Duke Williams is that one big receiver that they have. So in the red zone, when they need a possession, they need to get a first down, and they can throw it up, and he can jump, jump ball, catch it. That's what he's going to be good for. He's going to have a role, especially in the red zone, and if they need to catch and jump ball.
That's why I wanted to bring up the depth that we have. I like T.J. Yeldon is behind Devin Singletary,
and Zach Moss that they just drafted is a great running back. So I mean,
third-round pick.
I personally think that you're going to have Devin Singletary as the lead back, and you're going to have Zach Moss as his complement.
Yeah,
I think he's going to jump Yeldon, Zach Moss, and they're going to be a really good duo for a long time.
That's what I think is going to happen.
He's a great running back.
That's a
Zach
good
Moss.
compliment for each other.
Yes,
too.
he's a hard runner. Singletary's more shifty, elusive. Zach Moss is a hard nosed runner.
So our lads, the most trusted, in my opinion, the most trusted scouting website in the country, they agree with you. Their number 1 pick out of our draft that they think is going to be the most outstanding player is Zach Moss.
Okay.
It says
I didn't know
this
that.
is what they said. Zach Moss, before he made the Buffalo Bills, and they show his stat line, and 3-year starter, and he rewrote the running back record at Utah, 2019 All-America and Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. So our lads, I like to look at them every year before the season starts to see who they got is the good picks, and that's for the Bills. That's who they got.
I also really like that. I really like that draft pick, Zach Moss, like I just said, and also AJ Espinoza, the defensive end that the Bills got.
Yeah,
he's a great pick too.
They got him right now. He might start because over on the left side, on the right side you got Jerry Hughes. That's his spot. No one's taking that spot, but he's getting old too. So right now the Bills have him listed behind Jerry Hughes. Now he could fill in for Jerry Hughes, but on the other side, on the left, you got Mario Addison and Trent Murphy, 2 pretty good, respectable starting type caliber players. But
I think you're going to see a big rotation.
But that's what I'm saying. AJ, he might go over on that side.
He's going to be a starter at some point. He's going to be a starter. Maybe he's just a rotation this year. They work him in.
Have 4 good players there.
Yes.
Rotated.
You want to keep those guys fresh.
In the middle at tackle, you got Ed Oliver and Vernon Butler.
Yep.
That's what we're going to see. Those are pretty much. But then you just got Harrison Phillips.
Yeah.
So you got a rotation there. I like our front.
I'm a big Harrison Phillips fan.
That's a good front 7 right there.
Yep. I'm a huge football fan. I love the NFL, but I like college because I watch college not only because I enjoy it, but also to see the players coming into the NFL.
Yeah.
So I know a lot about incoming players. I study the draft. I watch the draft in its entirety, and I make my own predictions and stuff. And I actually diehard fans love the draft.
Yeah.
Casual fans are like, I don't even know these names.
Right.
Who is this?
So that brings us to our linebackers now. So our linebackers are tough, dude. All right. Let's start off with the middle linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds.
He's a beast.
He is the focal point of our defense right now.
Yeah.
You built around him though. You got Matt Milano, who coming off 2 back-to-back great seasons. They also got Brian Cox Jr., who I don't know what's going to happen with him, but we'll see how he does. And then they got AJ Klein from New Orleans, who's a starting caliber. Easily slide him in and start him right away.
Well, Brian Cox is more of an end.
He's more of an end, but
I love Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, that draft actually, that was one of the targets that I wanted the Raiders. I wanted the Raiders to draft Tremaine Edmonds. That's one of the guys I wanted. So that was huge get for the Bills. Matt Milano, very solid linebacker. That third linebacker though is a little shaky. Most teams now are in the nickel the majority of the time.
That's what I was just going to say.
The nickel is
but
actually
the Bills will be in the nickel.
The nickel is for most teams. Your nickel is actually your starting defense now.
Yeah,
and then
you're going to see Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds on both sides of the field.
Yeah, you're going to see them all the time in the nickel.
You're going to see an extra back. So you got Josh Norman on one side, Tre'Davious White on the other side, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer at safety, and then it's going to be either.
You're going to see the slot.
Then
that's the nickel.
You're going to see Saran Neal jump down and play the nickel, or Taron Johnson.
Yep,
and it depends that's going to depend on what team we're playing against and what type of receivers.
Well, and it's going to see
so if
in
it's
camp.
A tight end,
and it's going to be
tight end,
it might be a battle in camp.
That's what I'm saying. If it's an extra tight end, Neal will be out there. If it's an extra wide receiver, you'll see Taron Johnson covering him. That's how we're going to see that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, you don't always know that. You can't always get off the field to change it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's good we have all that depth.
No, absolutely. So a lot of people don't realize your base 4-3 is not really your base anymore. Your nickel is your base defense. Your 4-3, your 4-3 is only for short yardage or if they go heavy or so.
Yeah. And then against the heavy passing teams, you see a lot of dimes. See a lot of
of course. But the nickel is actually you're in the nickel more than 50% of the time. It's your main defense now. Well, that's because it's a passing league now.
Right.
Back in the day when you had three running backs going off the board in the first 10 picks of a draft, and you had these great running backs that were highly valued, 4-3 was your base defense.
Now we're starting to see more hybrid safeties, like Neal, for example. He can come down and cover, and you're seeing more players like that.
Yeah. You're seeing a lot of more hybrid players at all positions.
So safeties, either a safety is a hybrid linebacker, or you see a linebacker as a hybrid safety going both ways.
Yeah, they call them money backers.
Yeah,
that's what they call them now. So someone who can play linebacker or safety, and then you're even seeing hybrids that can play safety or corner. Yeah. You're seeing hybrids on the defensive line where they can play end or tackle. So I mean, hybrid, that's a big thing. It used to be called a tweener. And people, they didn't really get drafted, or they got drafted really late because they said, well, I don't know what position he's going to be. Right. Well, now all of a sudden these tweeners are super valuable.
Deion Buchanan was one.
And they're versatile. So it used to be a knock on them as a tweener when they were in between positions and they got drafted really late or they didn't get drafted at all. And now it's actually.
Do you remember when Deion Buchanan got drafted to the Cardinals and they were like, what is he? Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Is he a corner? They don't know what he was.
Yeah, he's a great player. And he's one of the first people where they came up with that name Moneybacker.
Yeah.
Bruce Arians came up with that name for him.
Yeah.
They used to just call it a tweener, a hybrid, whatever. But now they actually put a name on it with Deion Buchanan.
And now every team has a player like that.
Now everybody wants the versatility and the hybrids, and you just saw it high in the draft. Isaiah Simmons.
Right.
He can play almost anywhere.
Yeah. So you're seeing defensive schemes starting to morph into something different.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the hybrid and the versatility is really awesome now, and it makes sense. As a defensive coordinator, you love that versatility. You can do so much more when you're designing plays and packages with that versatility,
and a lot of hybrid fronts where you switch between 3 down and then 4 down. Yeah, you go back and forth,
or even a lot of times now you actually see 5 but down, one of them might be standing. Yeah. One of them might be in a 2-point stance instead of a 3-point stance.
Carolina,
but it's really 5 on the line.
The year when Carolina went to the Super Bowl and lost. That was their defense was 5-2,
and that happens a lot now on passing downs.
McDermott.
Well, that's what you see on passing downs now. But you'll usually have one guy in a 2-point stance, not a 3-point stance. But it's actually 5 on the front line.
It's considered a 5-2, but you're right. One guy was kind of standing around.
Yeah,
you didn't know if he was going to be a spy.
He could either jump back. Yeah, he could either jump back or rush.
If a coach is good enough, they train their players to do everything,
and they disguise that,
switch it up,
and they'll like bluff that rusher.
That's why they got Mario Edison. Mario Edison was one of those players who are good at dropping back in coverage.
He can drop, but Addison also can play tackle.
Yeah,
he can kick in on rushing downs.
That's what I'm saying. For that 5-2 type of defense, where you don't know who's going to do what. You got players like Mario Edison.
I personally think you're going to see on rushing downs, you're going to see Addison kick in, and you're going to see AJ Espinoza come on and fill in an end.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that a lot.
I'm interested to see what McDermott does with his defense. We're stacked. We got a lot of depth.
Absolutely. And McDermott just got a contract extension.
You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is the eclipse. The stars are aligned right now for the Bills. We're in that window right now.
Yeah.
And we have cap space. So not only are we stacked everywhere in the field, we have really no holes anywhere.
Yep.
But we have money to spend just in case we need
absolutely.
it. So by trade deadline, something big might happen.
Yep. You're going to see the Bills defense is going to be good. And McDermott's a defensive-minded coach. They got the pieces. You're going to see that defense be good. What's really going to be how far can the Bills go? Does Josh Allen take that next step? And then also, does Diggs live up to his lofty trade status? And do you see the improvement of the offense from last year?
Diggs and Josh Norman, wide receiver and corner, they're both in the same boat, whereas they both are coming off of a down season, and they both have to reprove themselves.
Well, Diggs didn't really have a down season.
Diggs didn't really have a down season, but he had some bad games. He had some games where he didn't do anything, 0 catches.
Yeah.
But now that he's on a team where he might be more focused on, he has a chance to really show out. And Josh Norman is back in the same system where he thrived in.
Diggs the last couple of years has balled out, but he hasn't been happy with the team, with Minnesota.
He wanted
out.
He wanted more.
He wanted out. The Bills, now he knows the Bills valued him. They paid a lot for him.
Yeah.
And now he knows he's somewhere where he's wanted and that they'll make him the number one, because he was always like 1A and 1B with Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't happy because they ran so much. Mike Zimmer's a defensive-minded coach that runs the ball, so he wasn't getting the touches he wanted. They would avoid him for whole games at a time. Yeah. So he's finally somewhere where he's wanted, and he knows that they're going to feed him the targets, and he's going to be their number one.
Too.
He's a great route runner. Yeah, he's a precision route runner, and so as long as him and Josh Allen get chemistry, and Josh Allen can learn to let the ball go before he sees the guy open, that's one thing that Josh Allen needs to work on. He's got such a strong arm. He waits for his guys to make a break, and then he tries to force it in. He needs to start learning how to lead the players, and before they come out of their break.
Yeah.
So I actually was not a big fan of Josh Allen coming out of college because he went to a small school and his completion percentage in college was 50%. Generally, you talk to anybody, any analyst, any draft, anyone that scouts, your completion percentage is going to drop 10% in the pros, which would be 40%, which would be awful. So I was a little bit scared about him, but he actually, at the end of last year, he still made a lot of dumb plays like in the playoffs and stuff where he just fumbled the ball running and stuff like that, but he really impressed me at the end of the regular season and into the playoffs.
He's playing his lights out right now.
He really is. So I'm actually really excited, and what I saw at the end of the season made me think that he can be a really good quarterback
for sure.
So
and he gets out of pressure too.
Yeah,
he's a mobile quarterback too.
Yeah, that's going to be of course. Yeah, he's a great running quarterback as well. Yeah. So the key is going to be, in my opinion, on offense, Allen and Diggs.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
So it's pretty exciting. I obviously born and raised in Buffalo. As I said before, I'm a diehard Raiders fan. I'm a diehard NFL fan. But the Bills have always been my number 2 team, right behind the Raiders. I live here. And it's I always root for them. I'm always excited about them. The city, it's weird. When you come off a win, that whole next week, everybody's so happy in Buffalo. It really makes a big difference when the Bills are winning.
Yeah.
The whole vibe of the city is just uplifted. It's awesome. So I'm really excited. I mean, you see Brady leave the division in the AFC East. This is the Bills' time to capitalize, to win the division, to seize that division and keep hold of it for years to come. So we'll see what happens. But it's going to be tough. Even without Brady, they got Cam Newton now, and they have Bill Belichick still. You got to remember, he's got an amazing defense, and Bill Belichick is a genius. So it's not going to be easy. I think the Bills are going to take the division, but it's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what happens, and I can't wait. I'm upset that the preseason got canceled. I understand it. Okay, fine. It really sucks for the people on the fringe of the roster, because those undrafted guys, those late draft picks, they have to fight and camp in the preseason for their jobs. So not only do they not have those 4 preseason games to earn a roster spot, but they also, because of COVID, made them cut down from 90 to 80. So that's 10 guys that got cut that normally would be on the back end of a roster that could earn a spot.
Yep.
So it really sucks for the special teams players, the late draft round picks, the undrafted guys. Some of these guys got cut because they had to cut from 90 to 80 and didn't even have a chance to latch on. So, we're all living in a COVID, post-COVID world now, so they had to do it. I understand that. So I'm just hoping that the teams have enough time to get ready, and and like even the padded practices is going to be limited. So you might see a little bit of sloppy tackling and stuff early in the season because they had no preseason, not as many padded practices. So, but we're going to make do. I'm just happy that we're actually going to have a season. I don't like that there's no preseason. I don't like that it looks like there's going to be no fans. But as long as we can have a full season, I'll be happy, so that we can have a whole full season to completion for the NFL. And then also we need a full season so that we can do fantasy football as well. I know you said fantasy basketball got canceled.
Yeah.
They had no choice. So we need to see a full regular season so that everybody can complete their fantasy leagues. And so we'll see what happens. And I definitely want to start next episode, get into some fantasy football. Drafts are coming up. Make some predictions, maybe even do maybe a little mock draft and, who we think is going to get drafted where. And this is the time, this is the lead up where everyone's doing mock drafts. Everybody's looking for information so they can make decisions on players, so when their drafts do kick off. So we got about less than a month before fantasy, starts and before the season starts. So we'll definitely get into that in episode 2.
Yep.
You ready to call it?
Yeah.
All right, guys. This was episode 1 of FLT Sports. I just want to say God bless you. God bless America.